You you here to listen to me talk about God of War, cat? Is that it? You wanna listen to the God of War Ragnarok leak? Is that it? You want me to make fun of the guy for making such a weird and convoluted prediction? Is that you're sitting down? I think she does want me to talk about the God of War Ragnarok leak. Hey, how's it going, guys? Captain Kuba here, and welcome to another God of War video. As you guys heard from my little impromptu introduction with the cat, we're not going to be talking about a theory, we're not going to be talking about lore, well, we are going to be touching on those topics, but we're mostly going to be talking about the supposed God of War leak that happened a couple days ago. The reason why I didn't cover it back then is because I was still afraid that this might be a little bit real. So I was waiting kind of for confirmation from Santa Monica Studios to say that this was completely fake. So I believe Matt Sophos was talking to Martyr Might Die, and Matt Sophos, the writer of God of War Ragnarok, or one of the writers, confirmed that this fan fiction was fake. This is not happening in the game. With this video, I kind of wanted to go over the whole fan fiction. Oh, you're not interested anymore? You don't like God of War? Is that it? Oh, you're mad because they haven't shown gameplay yet. Santa Monica, you're gonna have to show gameplay. My cat's kind of sad here, okay? Anyway, with this video, I just wanted to read the theory or the fan fiction for you guys and tell you where I think he went wrong. I'm not doing this to make fun of the guy. Obviously, he was wrong for, trying to get clout by talking about God of War Ragnarok and saying that he knew what the story was. That's wrong. That's not cool. Don't do that, right? But I wanted to read this thing and just tell you where I think he went wrong. There are some moments in the fanfiction that I like, some scenes, how I think he presents them that I think are pretty good. I would not mind them seen in the game. But the important thing you have to know right now is that this is completely fake. By me reading this, you're not getting God of War Ragnarok spoiled in any way. This is completely fake. So with that said, let's get into the fanfiction. Okay, so the story starts with Atreus finding some ball-shaped things around the forest left by Fae. They left them where they used to hunt in the past 3 years, with each with the name of some Norse characters which are alive and play a role in Ragnarok. The journey kicks off when Atreus finds one with Tyr. The journey is basically recruiting and assessing who will be ready for Ragnarok on their side. This is actually one of the moments I like from the fanfiction. It's just them, the game starts with Kratos and Atreus going on the forest, and they find these spheres with important Norse mythology characters. We already saw this in the God of War Ragnarok, the first trailer we saw in September, and it shows, I believe it's a sphere with the name Skull and Hati, I believe. So I kind of like that, like where Faye and Atreus used to hunt, she left some spheres that, will, get them started on their journey, right? I don't mind that scene too much. It's kind of nice. I like it. There's a huge war between the Light Elves and the Dark Elves in Alfheim, and Light Elves are more on the Aesir side and try to butcher the Dark Elves. This is something we're gonna have to put a pin on. This is weird, but you only see why it's weird later on in the fanfiction. Then he says, Kratos and Atreus go to Vanaheim to reason with Freyr, Freya's brother, and also the wolves Skull and Hati. This is odd. This is odd. Why do they need to go and reason with Freyr? Freyr wasn't an important character in the first game. This seems like a huge leap to go from like, Fimbulwinter, we need to go see Freyr. Freyr has not been established. He's the ruler of all the elves, but that's about it, right? And the fact, this actually you can kind of see why this moment is kind of weird. Alfheim and the Light Elves are more on the Aesir side. This is weird because Kratos and Atreus are gonna go talk with Freyr, even though Freyr is the ruler of the Light Elves. I would even say more of the Light Elves than the Dark Elves. So this already is weird. The other thing I find weird is that they go to Vanaheim to talk with Freyr and the wolves Skull and Hati. To me, this doesn't make much sense, talking to the wolves Skull and Hati. The only way that could happen is if Atreus somehow speaks their language, and we know Atreus is pretty good with languages, but he struggled a little bit with Jormungandr right at the end. He's not ready to talk with Skull and Hati. What I think is going to happen, they will eventually have to go to Vanaheim, but I don't think it's going to be to talk with Freyr or the wolf skull and Hati, is actually to talk with what is, oh my god, what are they called? The sun and the moon. Skull and Hati. I guess it's just the sun and the moon. They might have names. I believe they're the veneered twins we saw in the collector's edition, but that has not been confirmed yet. Those would be the sun and the moon, and Kratos and Atreus would have to go there and talk to them, see like what's the deal with the wolf skull and Hati. But I don't think they're going there to talk with Skull and Hati. It doesn't sound right. The next part gets even weirder. Kratos and Atreus go to Muspelheim to find out Surtr has been killed by Thor, but it turns out that he has a daughter who plays that role in Ragnarok. This is beyond weird. This is something, when I read this, when I was reading this to see if this was fake or not, this was like a huge red flag. No pun intended with Muspelheim. So yeah, I really don't see a reason why Santa Monica would kill off Surtr. Maybe to show off Thor's strength, like imagining going to Muspelheim and we see the corpse of Surtr, right? And it's like, holy crap, like maybe it could serve to establish Thor as a big baddie, right? Like he killed Surtr, the strongest god. But I think Santa Monica, no, that's a bad way of going about this, because people love Surtr. Like Surtr is one of the most loved Norse mythology characters, and I think they wouldn't risk killing him off right at the beginning. They just wouldn't do it, right? And then it's the other thing. It turns out that he has a daughter. In the mythology, I don't believe Surtr has a daughter. If he does, she's not very important to the story. So that would feel kind of shoehorned. Like if they were to do that, I don't like that at all. The next part I kind of like. Thor and Freya are recurrent villains, and Odin is disguised as the dwarf Durlin in Svartalheim, keeping an eye on imprisoned Tyr, who is imprisoned beneath the realm. Okay, so I only like the part of Thor and Freya as being recurrent villains. Odin disguised as the dwarf Durlin. It seems like a cheap theory. The way I say that is because it seems like a theory formed from what we know and not from what we don't know. And of course, that's the only way you can make theories, but I think Durlin is going to be his own separate character. I don't think they're going to mix him up with Odin. This seems like something someone would do if they don't know the story of God of War Ragnarok. So they give the role of Durlin to Odin. Ha ha ha! It's been a lie all along. I find that too much of a cheesy plot twist. I don't like that. So they're gonna go and look for Tyr, who's in prison in Svartalheim. You fight Thor 3 times. First at Kratos' house, second time in Vanaheim, alongside with Freya, and the third time in Asgard. So the second time you fight him is when you go to Vanaheim here. And Freya, I think he got that from my theory that I said that Thor and Freya are gonna fight Kratos at the roots of the World Tree. Maybe that's where he got it from. I don't see. It seems like a huge jump. I should say that I don't think he talks about Freya fighting at the beginning of the game, which I find odd, right? Obviously, in the trailer, we see Freya is there with him, right? Then he goes on to say, the Odin boss fight in the end is more psychological than physical. Odin's design is very different from Zeus. Odin is a cooked, hooded old man, looks similar to Baldur, and relies on powerful magic. Odin has killed Fenrir already in the timeline. I could see that happening. Like, I don't mind this part. Like, Odin has killed Fenrir already in the timeline. That could be interesting. Like, again, that could be used to establish Odin as the big bad. He's like, oh no, he's got this. Like, he's super smart. Like, he already has killed the guy who's gonna kill him in Ragnarok. Like, that makes sense within Odin's character. I don't mind that. And it's later gonna come back in a nice way, right? Then he says, Tyr will fight Kratos when he's freed, thinking that he's another one of Odin's tricks to torture him by putting the infamous Ghost of Sparta as a torture device. But Kratos beats him without killing him, and that's when the trailer parts plays, where Kratos asks if Tyr will fight beside them. So yeah, I like this. I don't mind this. I like this idea of Tyr freaking out because, like, oh no, this Odin has sent the Ghost of Sparta to torture me. I actually kind of like that. It serves to establish Kratos as a really badass that, you know, he's well known amongst other gods, right? Like, I like that idea, right? And I also believe that theory as well, that what we're seeing in the trailer is actually it's 2 different scenes. The first one, actually gonna talk about that later. I'm not gonna talk about the other. The other one is like Kratos picking up Tyr and putting him up against the wall. I also think that they fought there. I can't prove that, but by the tone of that scene, it seems like they fought, and Kratos was like, "Are you coming with us now? Stop this BS. Let's come with me, and let's just stop Odin." Right? I like that idea. Then Odin reveals himself as Durlin in disguise, captures Loki, and brings him to Asgard, and kills Brock, and injures Sindri, Tyr, and Kratos in the process. So I don't know how to feel about this. Again, I don't like the whole Odin reveal of he's Durlin the whole time. But what I don't know how to feel about is capturing Loki and bringing him to Asgard, and then later he's gonna say putting venom on his eyes like in the mythology. I kind of like that idea. It's one of those theories that I like, but I don't believe because it's gonna mess up like not the pacing of the game, but the design of the game. Atreus is your AI companion. I really don't see him not being your AI companion for a long time. It happened a little bit in God of War 2018 when Kratos had to go to Helheim, but I don't think this will happen for long periods of times, right? That's like my only issue with this fan theory. Then he says Kratos goes to Asgard, and the first boss there is Heimdall. During the middle of the game, final fight with Thor in Asgard, where Kratos goes to capture Atreus, who's being tortured by Odin by pouring venom drop by drop on Atreus' forehead. Thor kills Jormungandr and damages the Leviathan axe. Thor is almost going to kill Kratos when Atreus, in Spartan rage, summons a new Jormungandr, the mural scene of Atreus giving birth to the Serpent. So, if the Surtr thing was a red flag, this was pretty much confirmation to me that this was fake. I've always heard of the theory that Atreus is summoning the World Serpent in the Jotunheim mural. I can almost definitively say that that's not the case. In the God of War novel, I believe Kratos describes it as, or the narrator describes it as, Atreus weeps and cries at the skies or something. So what you're seeing, the squiggly line thing, it's not really a snake. It's just like him cursing at the sky. It's just like his words, right? There's also proof that some evidence that it could just be like the dying rites. I think I talked about it a while back. There's a promotional image for God of War 2018 that shows Atreus pretty much like reciting a chant, not a death chant, like a prayer for a deer that has just died, and it looks very similar to the mural in Jotunheim. So this was a dead giveaway that this thing was fake. Anyway, he says, so he summons a new Jormungandr who poisons and kills Thor, but a dying Thor immediately strikes the new Jormungandr and the World Tree. The new Jormungandr and the World Tree with full power of Mjolnir that branches in the game into 3 time parts. Since Jormungandr before God of War timeline, and thus he appeared in the first game, Kratos ends up in the time before Faye met him and battles her. Blades of Chaos versus Leviathan Axe is cool. Okay, we're gonna have to slow down here. So I have to say that I do like how he presented this idea, even though I don't think there's going to be another Jormungandr. I love the idea of like almost being a stalemate. Jormungandr poisons Thor, and Thor is dying, but then Thor picks up his hammer and hits him so hard that he goes back in time. I like that idea, I totally see it happening. The other part is, once again, it's a part that doesn't make much sense to me. So he sends Jormungandr, as we know, back in time. Kratos ends up in the time before Faye met him and battles her. Blades of Chaos versus Leviathan Axe is cool. During the fight, Kratos constantly reasons with her, and Faye finally understands. Okay, yeah. So essentially, when Thor hits Jormungandr, the world tree splinters. I think this is what he's trying to say. And Kratos goes to a different part in the timeline, and Atreus goes to another one, right? That's another thing I don't like. It goes to that whole thing of like this game has 2 protagonists. You can't take away one protagonist for too long, right? He's gonna find a way to somewhat fix it, but I don't like it. I still don't like it. So constantly reasons with her, and Faye finally understands and goes to Jotunheim with Kratos to consult with the peaceful and reluctant giants about fighting in God of War Ragnarok, because that's the only way to survive. This is odd. That's the only way to survive, because Kratos in the September trailer specifically says war is not the only way. So I really do think a lot of his character, arc in God of War Ragnarok is going to be preventing a fight with the Aesir gods. Of course, we know what's gonna happen, but he's not gonna be eager, or he's not gonna jump to the conclusion that a war with the Aesir gods is the only way, because he knows how that turned out in the Greek realm, right? Anyway, Atreus is transported to the time after Faye went to consult with the giants. Atreus is playable from here on out. A giant. Okay, so even I, like, whenever time travel gets introduced, I start to get confused. Like, I don't think he's telling this right. Atreus gets transported to the time after Faye went to consult the giants. So I'm guessing it's when here. Faye went with Kratos to consult with the peaceful and reluctant giants. I guess it has to be there. So they're in the same timeline, but he came later. Atreus is, hold on, so Atreus is playable from here on out. A giant forges broken Leviathan axe with broken Mjolnir. Atreus also meets Angrboda, and she acts as the companion during Atreus' gameplay. Angrboda will have links to Egypt as daughter of Tyr and Anuke. Then Atreus meets Faye and Kratos from 1. The way he write this is kind of odd. It's hard to understand a little bit. Anuke is the god of the goddess of the river Nile, and apparently she's Angrboda's mom. Even though I personally like that theory, I don't think it's going to be. I just think Angrboda's black, and that's just how they made it. It's not the biggest deal, right? That's just I came up with a theory as to, like, make the whole situation better. Like, oh, let's just tie it into the plot, right? But I don't really think Angrboda is half Egyptian. I think it would be cool, but I don't think that's Santa Monica's plan for her. And how he fixes the broken gameplay by not having an AI companion is by putting Angrboda in the shoes of Atreus. So you will be controlling Atreus, and the AI companion will be Angrboda. People like this theory, or like this idea that Atreus is going to be playable like from the get-go in the game. I don't think so. Atreus does not have the same weapons as Kratos. The gameplay would be completely different. The only way this could happen is, like I said in my Atreus playable video, is that if it happens at the end, and Atreus essentially takes Kratos' weapons and becomes the protagonist. It has to be easy. It has to be seamless. You know, like how the enemies are made in God of War Ragnarok is so you can fight them with the Blades of Chaos and the Leviathan Axe, not with the Talon Bow. It doesn't make sense to make Atreus playable. So, I should say that the whole thing with Kratos meeting Faye feels kind of like rushed. Again, like, it could just be, not getting into specifics, but it just feels completely rushed. Anyway, so then Kratos and Atreus travel to God of War 2018 time, using a time rune taken by killing the Normirs. Those are the Fates. I have an issue with this. I think this is too similar to God of War 2. I don't think Corey nor the team at Santa Monica would do something too similar again. I keep thinking that the Fates are gonna be allies. I don't think we're gonna be killing them, right? Each Nornir is a separate boss fight, and some of the very best. Atreus, Kratos leaving Faye will be emotional. See, this whole thing just feels rushed. Like, more has to happen here. Like, if it's true that you go back in time and you meet Faye, and Atreus meets her again, something has to happen here, and he fails to explain what that would be like. Like, what would Faye tell Atreus? You know, it's how would I get it? It's the whole time travel thing. Then Faye knows that he has to give birth to Atreus. It creates a whole bootstraps paradox thing. But it feels rushed how he's presenting it here. Faye gives her Leviathan axe to Kratos. This is odd. I feel like this was taken straight from Avengers Endgame when Thor's mom gives Thor, not gives him, like, but Thor goes back with Mjolnir, right? But this whole thing is completely unnecessary, because earlier he says that a giant forges broken Leviathan with a broken Mjolnir. When I read this, I thought he meant, like, oh, it's creating a new weapon, right? A better weapon forged from Mjolnir and all that. But then Faye gives her Leviathan axe, so Kratos has 2 axes at this point. This was also like a huge telling this was fake. They traveled to the time Atreus got sick. From here on out, players can switch between playing as Atreus or Kratos. Nope, this is not GTA 5. This is not GTA 5. They're not gonna have multiple protagonists to switch in gameplay. That's just not happening. Like I said earlier, the enemies are designed to be fought with the Leviathan axe and the Blades of Chaos. This is very amateur work right here. I hate to say it, but it is. Atreus blows the horn to call the World Serpent to know about the location of Fenrir. I like this. I really like this. Because I think it's definitely going to be Atreus and Kratos blowing the horn. Like, it's going to be, time travel is going to be involved in that. And I think it's cool that it's to find out the location of Fenrir. Because Fenrir in the current timeline was killed by Odin. He established that earlier, right? And now they're going back in time to get Fenrir, because Fenrir is the one who kills Odin. This is actually a solid theory in my opinion. I like this a lot. Atreus and Kratos fight Fenrir in hell, and Fenrir almost kills Atreus when Tyr arrives and saves him, but get his hand chopped off as a result. I'm pretty sure he got this part straight from my theory. I've mentioned that so many times that I think it would be cool. That would be cool how Tyr loses his hand in the God of War series. They tame Fenrir with the magical chain created by Fenrir and brings it to the present timeline, as only Fenrir can kill Odin. Yeah, this is cool. So yeah, this is a solid fan fiction. I like this. Fenrir is dead. It could honestly be like the whole story of the game. Oh, we need to kill... Like, after Ragnarok happens, it's like, oh my god, Odin needs to die or he's gonna win. What are we gonna do? We need to get Fenrir. He's the only one that kills him at the end of the game, in Ragnarok. I like that. I really do. Anyway, so Fenrir brings to the present timeline, as only Fenrir can kill Odin. This all happens before Kratos went to hell in God of War 2018. Oh, okay, so this is all taking place like at the same time as God of War 2018. I like that. I honestly like that. I like that idea of like God of War Ragnarok being parallel with God of War 2018. It gives you that vibe from the Harry Potter movie. I forgot which one it was. That scene where they're seeing like their past selves, and the past selves are talking about going back in time, but they've already gone back in time. I like that a lot. Anyway, jumping to the current timeline, full battle with Asgard already started after the Thor breaking time incident. Kratos and Atreus return to the timeline, and Surtr's daughter brings down major Asgardian forces. Kratos and Atreus fight a very powerful Valkyrie wing infused Freya. This is odd. This was another... Hold on. My mouth is getting dry. This was another huge telling that this was fake. Freya also brings back Balder as some form of a reanimated corpse, and Atreus kills her and Balder. This is straight up fake. It's Santa Monica could do this, but they would be breaking their own like character rules they established in God of War 2018. It's pretty much confirmed that by Mimir that Freya will not bring Balder back the way she brought back Mimir. It's just not the same. Like he would just be a reanimated corpse. It wouldn't be Mimir. I have objections to that take Mimir has, but that's lore. That's what's established. I don't think Freya's gonna bring back Balder. There are other ways we could see Balder, as I said in this theory or this theory. It could just be like a small, like, a nice little moment where we see Balder and he's changed. He's like, oh my god, I feel everything, but this is not worth it. Anyway, just check out the video if you have some time. Kratos defeats Odin's mind games and acquires the Gungnir. But before dying, Odin wakes up the Nidhogg... But before dying, Odin awakes the Nidhogg dragon from the Splinter World tree. Fenrir kills Odin. Nidhogg starts Ragnarok. All seems lost when the dragons that Kratos helped, the dark and light elves are brought together by Freyr, and the Valkyries and Sindri make a grand entrance like that of Avengers Endgame, and Tyr finally reveals the hidden giants in Jotunheim and evens the odds. So anyway, like this, what we're getting here is like the Avengers Endgame scene. Remember when I said to put a pin on the whole Light Elves things? He said earlier that the Light Elves are on the side of the Aesir gods, yet they're gonna come to our rescue at the end of the game because Freyr brought them together. No. I'm sorry. No. Anyway, they force the Nidhogg to rush over the seas, and Kratos kills it with a spear and the Blades of Chaos combine. Again, this is the whole thing with Nidhogg. I'm not even sure if Nidhogg is going to be a character in the game. For one thing, we already have a big snake, right? Aesthetically looking, it would be too similar, right? and it gives me too much the vibe of God of War Ascension's ending. Something I didn't like about that game's ending is that it didn't feel personal. You know, you didn't really kill Alecto at the end. You killed her Kraken. Like, it was a set piece is what I'm trying to say. And this fan theory, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's like, oh, you killed the Nidhogg. Odin is like the main threat. Like, there's no way he's gonna die and then he's gonna summon Nidhogg. Odin doesn't really gain anything from Ragnarok. He wants to survive it. I keep saying that I think Odin is gonna live through this somehow. It's possible he's not, but I don't think the threat of Ragnarok is gonna be placed on another character that's not Odin. I don't like this idea. Next he says, the game ends with all the realms merging into one big world, and Jotunheim becomes the top mountain. And okay, no, this part of the fan fiction doesn't make sense just from a gameplay purpose. I don't understand what he means by the realms merge with each other and create one big world, and Jotunheim becomes the top mountain. I don't freaking know. I don't get this. What I think he's going for is that, oh, everything is back to normal. Everyone is unified. It's a decent idea, but I think it wouldn't make sense from a game design perspective. Like, this is a semi-open world game after all. It doesn't make sense for the worlds to be merged together. Like, the missions, like the location of missions have to remain the same. You can't really change them around, otherwise players are gonna be confused. Anyway, and the calm giants making Atreus their king, but Atreus makes everyone free and preaches harmony instead of any king or god rule systems, which makes Kratos proud. No, okay, I'll talk about it later. Later, Tyr asks Kratos for a favor in return of him saving him from Loki. Saving Loki from Fenrir hunting at the next... Man, why did he write it like that? Fenrir hunting at the next game in Egypt? Okay, so I'm just gonna paraphrase what I think happens here, okay? The way he wrote this, it does not make any sense. So, the giants want to make Atreus the king of Jotunheim. I don't have a huge problem with that. I just don't like how he goes about it, saying like, oh, but he preaches harmony instead of a king or a god rule system. It's nice, but I don't think this game is gonna have a happy ending. And the next part just makes zero sense. Tyr comes up to Kratos and asks Kratos for a favor because he sacrificed his hand when they were fighting Fenrir, is what I think he's trying to say. And he says, so he tells Kratos that Angrboda is his daughter and Anukis, which is Anuk, I don't know if I'm mispronouncing her name, the Egyptian goddess, right? And then Tyr basically shows Kratos a mural hidden from the player's view, and Kratos agrees to go, but only after spending proper time with his son. So Tyr gives Kratos a side mission. It's like, oh, can you go to Egypt and do this for me? I don't know what Tyr wants Kratos to do in Egypt. Is it rescue his mother, like his wife, Anuka, the Egyptian goddess? I don't know. This is weird. Tyr sending Kratos on a side mission. I don't understand this at all. But for some reason, Kratos agrees, but only after spending proper time with his son. So they're gonna hang out. They're gonna go to Chick-fil-A for a little bit, and then Kratos is gonna go to Egypt, and Atreus is gonna remain in the Norse world. This doesn't make any sense. I don't see this making any sense. I'm sorry. It's weird that Atreus would. There hasn't been any. I keep saying that there's gonna be a rift between Kratos and Atreus. Something bad's gonna happen in their relationship, and they're both gonna go their own separate ways. Until later on in the series, they're gonna come together again, and it's gonna resume from then. But this fan theory has too much of a happy ending. I don't think this is how it's gonna play out, but we'll see. There are two main post-game scenes, like the dream of Thor arriving in God of War 2018. One involves Atreus dreaming of waking up and seeing that he has a daughter named Hel. What? See, this is a big telling that this is not real, because it's like he doesn't know what to do with the character of Hel. So he just puts her in a post-credit scene and makes Hel something that will happen later, even though we might have evidence that Hel is already in the game according to the map. Second is the big one in which Tyr shows Kratos the mural, a brief view of a desolated Egypt. That's it. Like, Tyr shows Kratos an empty Egypt and tells him to go there, making the whole side mission even weirder, right? Anyway, so gameplay briefs. Along with the Blades of Chaos, Leviathan Axe, Kratos will receive a shield upgrade as a weapon. Shields are varied, and each shield designed in a way to combat specific weapons. An enemy type can do runic attacks. We knew that already. Kratos also gets Gungnir, Odin's Spear by the end, and it's a specific charge attack runic weapon type. I don't even know what that means. Charge attack? Like you charge it and then you like Dante's sword in Devil May Cry? I don't know. Atreus is playable from the middle of the game and uses bow and arrows and runic summons, and they combine Mjolnir and Oh, I get it now. I get it why Kratos gave him... Why Faye gave him Leviathan Axe now. Because Atreus is going to be using a combined Mjolnir and a broken Leviathan Axe. So in a way it does make him play more like Kratos, but... I don't know. The AI... Wait, was there something else I need to read here? I don't think so. Oh, okay, yeah. He says that you only get Gungnir as a spear. I'm very skeptical about this. I think Mjolnir has to be a weapon. Friends are gonna be beyond disappointed if we don't get Mjolnir. I personally don't care as much because I think Mjolnir is too similar to Leviathan Axe. But I know fans are gonna be sad if the weapon's not there. They're gonna find the way of giving you an interesting character with Thor and also giving you his weapon without killing him, right? Like there's gonna be some time travel shenanigans, but I think Kratos will eventually wield a Mjolnir, right? And then he says the buddy AI varies in combat. Lots of boss fights, total 15 boss fights. I wish. How many does Elden Ring have again? It's like 100 and something, right? 15 boss fights would not be a bad thing. I wouldn't mind this at all. I mean, boss fights are something I really like. They really test out your skill. It feels epic. It feels like these moments in the story that are just so epic, right? I love them, right? Obviously, 15 boss fights. A lot of them are going to have to be like optional boss fights, right? Giant game with a huge main story and many side quests. Total gameplay clocks in at 55 and 60 hours. All realms unlocked, but not from the get-go. Both Atreus and Kratos can use Spartan Rage. Atreus' Spartan Rage summons huge beasts like the 8-legged horse, some versions of Jormungandr, etc. Kratos unlocks Gungnir only. Oh, I see. I forgot. Kratos unlocks Gungnir only in Spartan Rage. Nah, this is fake. Like, you only get... Gungnir is not even a weapon. You only get it in Spartan Rage, which it would be similar to God of War 3. It's not completely impossible, but I think it's weird that they wouldn't give you a secondary weapon. Like, they have to give you one. So there you have it, guys. The God of War Ragnarok leak. As you can tell, this was completely fake. I was just waiting for confirmation from Santa Monica Studios just to be safe, because I didn't want to spoil this for you guys in case it was real. Because like I said, there are some moments in there that sound really cool and I wouldn't mind seeing. There are things that just flat out don't make sense. Like, he didn't address him because he might have forgotten or he just didn't know them. Like the whole thing about Freya knowing Asgard weakness and maybe telling Surtr. Like, he didn't address that at all. Freya dies. I really don't think that's gonna happen. Freya is a very important character and she has a lot more room to grow. I don't think Freya's gonna die. So there's a lot of inconsistencies here, but you know what? It was a fun read. I enjoyed reading it. I'll be honest, I'm kind of bored these days with the whole topic of God of War Ragnarok because there's nothing new to talk about. There's just not, and reading this thing kind of got me excited because like, oh my god, Thor has like holes from the venom of Jormungandr and then he hits Jormungandr. I love it. I love like reading fan fiction sometimes because it's cheesy, it's geeky, but it's entertaining. You know, you just get to have some fun. And I hope you guys had some fun with me reading it as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this fan writing, this fan fiction. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you liked this video. I could do more of these things if you guys want me to. Just reacting to God of War theories in general. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. And remember, go forth in the name of Ragnarok.